Venezuela Congress names new leader, calls Nicolas Maduro illegitimate.
Here's a summary of the article.
Venezuela's opposition-controlled National Assembly opened a new legislative session on Saturday, swearing in a new leader who declared Nicolas Maduro's presidency illegitimate. Juan Guaidó, 35, assumed the presidency of the National Assembly stripped of power by Maduro, who is set to be inaugurated to a second six-year term next Thursday following controversial elections last May. "We reaffirm the illegitimacy of Nicolas Maduro," Guaidó told lawmakers and foreign diplomats in attendance to show solidarity with the embattled legislative body. Juan Guaidó assumed the presidency of the weakened National Assembly. The National Assembly was stripped of its powers in 2016 by the Supreme Court, which is dominated by Maduro loyalists, and replaced by a separate regime-created Constituent Assembly. On Friday, a dozen Latin American countries and Canada declared they would not recognize Maduro as president if he stays in office and called on him to hand power to the National Assembly. In his speech, Guaidó said the National Assembly would move to create a transitional body and prepare for free, democratic elections. The National Assembly would assume the representation of the people and of Venezuela before the international community, to defend and protect the interests, rights and patrimony of the people and state, inside and outside of Venezuela, while the usurpation lasts, he said.
This post received a score of 34,690, with an upvote ratio of 91%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
The National Assembly was stripped of its powers in 2016 by the Supreme Court, which is dominated by Maduro loyalists, and replaced by a separate regime-created Constituent Assembly. The May 20 elections called by the Constituent Assembly were boycotted by most of the main opposition groups and condemned by the international community. On Friday, a dozen Latin American countries and Canada declared they would not recognize Maduro as president if he stays in office and called on him to hand power to the National Assembly. Maduro accused the so-called Lima Group of encouraging a Washington-backed coup d'état.
They weren't boycotted, the opposition was banned to run. Edit, holy shit, there are a lot of triggered Chavistas not liking their dictatorship being called a dictatorship. Edit 2, keep denying it. Edit 3, a Venezuelan sent my this if you can help him.
Everywhere we went, and I mean everywhere, without exception, there were lines of people waiting from dawn to dusk outside of grocery stores for a chance to enter and buy food, all of which didn't have enough to go around. I saw a murdered man dragged out into a pool of his own blood from the car he was sitting in. Other people from the barrio or passers-by were on the other side of the car, or near the trunk, stealing and looting whatever they had. The next day on the news, we found out he was shot while sitting in his car because someone walked up to him and asked him where an ATM was and he refused to talk to the guy, so the guy pulled out a gun and murdered him to make him show some respect. People who don't like my portrayal of my experience always chalk it up to being anecdotal, and tell me that it doesn't mean shit.
For anyone who hasn't been following this story, a combo of economic mismanagement and rampant inflation means that the average Venezuelan can't buy enough calories to stay healthy. America has roughly 2% inflation, Venezuela has roughly 25,000%. The Venezuelan minimum wage is also the median wage there, and on that wage if you spent every bolivar you made on the highest calorie foods, in 2012 you could have purchased 57,000 calories a day. So the Maduro diet is a euphemism for slow starvation.
Meanwhile, Maduro feasts at salt buyers' restaurants, where one of the dishes on offer is a gold-coated steak.
I'm sorry, but can someone help explain this? I don't mean to be uninformed. He removes power of National Assembly, but National Assembly says he can't be president like 2.5 years later? Then there's a Constituent Assembly. Is this the same as the National Assembly? Lastly, what does this actually mean for the people of Venezuela, given they've already let this go on for so long and Maduro has so much power right now? Edit, is there a way people can safely donate to someone in Venezuela to make sure your money went to helping families in need get food and medical supplies?
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smry.com, without any human intervention.